There's two things that they said that I wasn't prepared for. And the first is about the apostates, one of which was a scribe of the Prophet. When he read it back, he changed the attribute different to make it different than what the Prophet had dictated to him. And then the Prophet said, that's okay, that's what was revealed.
When things are brought to us, we don't have any initial knowledge base or foundation to be able to challenge things. I don't believe that those people are sincere, for one, to acquire knowledge from.
Yeah, so this is not true.
Jesse, welcome to the stream.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Salam, brother.
Can you hear me okay?
Alhamdulillah. You're not from Australia, I gather.
No.
We've had a lot of people from Australia today.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I'm not from Australia. I'm from the U.S. I'm a revert as well. And I have come across some information that I really wasn't prepared for. I'm on TikTok a lot, and there's a lot of debates on there, a lot of group chats and everything. And, from all different walks, all different religions. So I joined a Christian channel, and, they usually, they run deep. They have like 5-6 people in there that are experts on their particular thing about whatever they're talking about, including how to debate Muslims and things like that. So anyways, there's two things that they said that I wasn't prepared for, that I hadn't heard before. And the first is about the apostates, one of which was a scribe of the Prophet, and this scribe basically apostated because he says, I'll try and shorten it, while he was writing or dictating what the verses from the Quran, when he read it back to the Prophet, he changed, how at the end of the verses, it's the Almighty, the All-Wise, the attributes of Allah. He changed the attributes. And when he read it back, he changed the attribute different to make it different than what the Prophet had dictated to him. And then the Prophet said, that's okay, that's what was revealed. So at that point, the scribe, basically made the claim that, well, did I get revelation or did the Prophet get revelation? And then he apostated. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, have heard that before. It caught me kind of off guard. They have a website that they sent me to that I could read along with them. And I don't know. I just wasn't prepared. So I didn't know.
What was the hadith?
It wasn't it wasn't a hadith. And that's the thing. So I'm like, okay, is this legit? Oh, Fareed already probably responded. Okay, good. Yeah, so I just wasn't prepared for that. So I just, have you guys heard of that, or is there any advice you can give me?
Yeah, we've heard of it. Before Dr. Imran answers the question very quickly, brother Jesse, I would recommend to you, and I've recommended this to lots of people, and I've said it. I'm sorry if I'm boring people, but if we're going to go on the voyage of the stormy seas of polemics and dealing with doubts and counter claims and these type of things, we better go in those stormy seas with a sound vessel with no holes in. What I mean by that is sound knowledge and foundation of Islam and knowledge of Islam. If we don't do that, then we're actually setting ourselves to fail, because when things are brought to us, we don't have any initial knowledge base or foundation to be able to challenge things that may be said incorrectly or even falsely, for example. So you're actually, you're sailing on a stormy seas with a boat with holes in. What's going to happen? Well, the boat's going to sink. You're going to have major problems, right? So the initial way is to learn your religion properly, to learn the grounding, the foundational concepts. And then by all means, once you're proficient, inshallah ta'ala, with those teachings and learnings and the foundational concepts of Islam, then entering into such places is not a problem, because now A, you may have the foundational knowledge that's necessary to counter those claims, or B, at least have access to avenues and information where you can easily and quickly acquire that information, again, to help you to counter those claims and those misconceptions. So that would be my initial advice. Just be careful of places, because people are often, surprisingly, in fact, well, perhaps not so surprisingly, but there are places that are actually, there are paid people whose job literally is to cause doubts amongst either theists generally, or in particular Muslims and Islam. And I don't believe that those people are sincere, for one, to acquire knowledge from, because they have obviously a confirmation bias. They already have certain predispositions and certain foundational desires and concepts that they wish to permeate through. They're not going to be the most honest and decent people to acquire your religion from, and so that's going to cause you problems, obviously, as a consequence. But Dr. Imran, please do answer the question, inshallah.
Yeah, so this is not true. So this is simply not true. So I think from what I read about this, this is a while ago, and I think there's lots of good articles about this that have been done by many of the brothers, particularly on Islamic awareness. So from what I remember, and we can double check this, and I'll find the link in a moment, and I'll put it into the chat so everyone can go onto it. That this is somebody who became Muslim, and then became Muslim in Mecca, migrated to Medina with the Prophet, peace be upon him, possibly became a scribe of the Prophet at that time, and then left the religion, but then became a Muslim again, so returned back to Islam before the conquest of Mecca. So it's not someone who left Islam. Now the reason for leave and stayed away from Islam, apostated and stayed away, was someone who returned. Now the problem is that why leaving in the first place? So there's some lack of clarity about this. But the idea that this was because you changed the Quran and it was accepted, then this doesn't explain why you came back to the religion afterwards, if that makes sense. So this is what I remember of this particular incident. So I don't think that this was so I think this is really fabricated. And I don't know what evidence is used by them. So you said that it wasn't a hadith they were quoting. It may be found in some of the early Sirah literature, which doesn't mean that's authentic when people are presenting that, because there are lots of weak and even fabricated statements that you might find in some of the early literature, particularly if it's just quoting what people have said rather than tracing the authentication of a hadith, because that wasn't their criteria. It was just about collating information. So
just random websites they gave me.
So this is always a red flag. If someone's not giving you a hadith from which is giving you brother Isaac Adams has put the source up, and you can have a look at that link, and that will probably explain it to you. But usually if someone's not giving you like this book, this hadith, go and read it, then you know that probably they're fabricating whatever they're bringing to you. If that makes sense. So the person who they're talking about became Muslim, migrated to Medina, left Islam, and actually became Muslim again before the conquest of Mecca. So if that last part is if you take that last part into the story, it doesn't make sense that he left because he knew the Quran was false, for example.
Right.
Because
of course,
why would you ever come back to the religion?
Yeah, and of course they didn't mention that. They just, they stopped with the So it just caught me off guard. I hadn't heard that before.
And I would reiterate what Brother Abbas has said about being careful. And then Brother Farid has responded, has already done something there, so that's available for you as well. So
yes, I've just put this from Brother Farid response. I don't know if it particularly covers specifically the topic, but it's a Refutation 101 course. Crash course, and it's got lots of things in terms of authority, classification, context, and so there's quite a lot of stuff in there. But I'm sure he's covered a lot of these type of doubts on his channel or claims on his channel. But please, Dr. Imran, please do continue.
That was going to be my next question: is where can I go? A good source.
So if you've seen the links in the chat, you can click on those and save those web pages and have a read through them. or that video, watch it. If any of that doesn't make sense, then give us a call or sorry, email us, and
email us, and we'll forward you the information, Brother Jesse. But you know, it's very telling, isn't it, that that if they had anything against Islam, that was truly, you know, something that was like, you know, the shock, the awe, you know, some aspect that could actually completely destroy, defeat Islam, that they would bring that forward, right? But they have to bring these type of things forward that are actually so easily countered. It just shows the veracity of Islam, actually, and just shows how weak their arguments are, that they have to start grappling to these type of things. You know, they'll start talking about things that have been dealt with often for centuries, in fact, but they'll just regurgitate them out, hoping that the person that they're talking to doesn't know about, doesn't know
throwing
about
mud and see if it sticks. That's it.
Right. Yeah. It came about, the conversation was, you know, I you know, the pressure was on them because, you know, contradictions and all that stuff in the Bible, and this is what they countered with. Well, what about your own faith? Have you done this due diligence in your own religion? And I hadn't heard of this yet, so I was like, oh, I'm stuck, you know.
No, but it's a weak argument, isn't it? So Jesse, if somebody says to me, for example, oh, look, you've got mud all over your clothes, right? And then I think, oh, I better clean my clothes, I better have a solution. How did this happen to me? No, I'm going to just look at you and say, oh, you got a bit of mud on your clothes as well. So but basically we're both muddy, you know. How is that a solution to your querying and your questioning the contradictions within the Bible? That should surely stand on its own merit, right? It should be a discussion in itself. But Jesse, I hope that's been helpful to you. But if you do have an issue with getting the information that you require from the links that we provided, please email us, and we'll hopefully forward some more information to you.